It's nice to be here.
So, how is it in Germany? Do you live in Germany right now?
I do. I live in Germany. I've been here since 2012, and it
Yeah.
is very rainy and
Yeah,
gray.
really? Yeah, actually, the weather here is changing. Actually, in Morocco, the
Mhm.
weather is changing. I mean, from a little bit warm to starting to be a little bit cold.
Yeah. Fall
Yeah.
has begun, hasn't it? It's
Yeah,
kind of
fall
crazy
has
how that
begun,
happens.
yes,
Yeah.
apparently. Yeah, that's great. So everybody loves fall, actually. No one loves summer. I think here people they
That's
love
true.
cold weather more than
That's true. It is, we call it very basic. It's like every single North American female goes, "Yay, fall! When's your
yeah,
favorite month?
fall.
October. I
Yeah.
like
But they
winter
say
sweater
that
weather."
I don't know about this, but they say that people who loves fall tend to be lazy a little bit. Is that true?
Maybe.
Yeah, because normally fall is related to, a warm
Ah,
bed and sleeping and watching TV and all those stuff.
okay. Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
those are things I like about fall.
So, Kate, we are so glad to have you here today. And we will speak about many things actually, but the most important thing is since you are an English teacher, me also am an English teacher, and the followers here who are watching, we have people watching. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. I'm so happy to see you all here.
Yeah.
People here are all interested about learning English. All the stuffs that you can say to them will help them a lot in their
Absolutely.
learning process. So I would like to start with you introducing yourself in some few words.
Yeah, sounds great. Okay. Yeah, I see there's already some questions here, which is awesome. We will definitely
Yeah,
get in and hopefully answer as many questions as we can. So anyone who has a question,
sure,
feel free to write them in and we will definitely get them
of
as
course.
soon as we can. Awesome. Okay, so my name is Kate and I am from Canada, but
Right?
I have lived all over the world. So I grew up with parents who are diplomats and
You're a
spent
traveler.
I'm a traveler and I've
Yeah,
always loved it. I've
awesome.
always wanted to be a traveler. So I lived in Japan for 3 years and traveled most of Asia. I lived in Kuwait for 4 years and traveled all over the
Really?
Middle East. Yeah.
You lived
And
in
then
Kuwait, so you already know the Arabs and you know,
I
the
do.
mentality of Arabs and stuff like that.
I do. It's home to me, actually.
Really? How
In
did
a
you feel
lot of
about
ways.
living in Kuwait?
I loved living in Kuwait. I really did. It was kind of a difficult time. I was there from 1998 to 2002. So we were there for the September 11 attacks when things got a little bit
Yeah,
intense as a
sure.
Caucasian family living in the Middle East. But I still loved it. I look back and I it's always home to me. So yeah.
When you travel to these countries and these cities, did you work there as an English teacher, or you just like
No. No, so we were actually there for my dad's job. My dad works at the Canadian Embassy.
ah
So
yes,
we were there for his job, and then I moved back to Canada on my own to go to university, and then knew that I wanted to continue traveling, which is when my English career started. I just wanted to keep traveling, so I moved to Korea to teach English there. And that
yeah,
was obviously awesome, and that was 13 years ago as of this month when I am now teaching English for 13 years. So it was in Korea.
13 years. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I was in Korea
that's
where I
awesome.
met my German boyfriend, and then he became my fiance, and we moved to Germany together. And now he is my
Yeah.
husband and the father of my two children.
Oh,
And
that's nice.
yeah, yeah,
That's nice.
yeah.
So, Kate, in one word, I would like to start with this actually. In one word, how would you describe the job of teaching? In one word,
One word.
or two, if you like.
I'm gonna try and do
Yeah,
it in one word.
yeah,
One word I would want to say, my instinct is to say like awesome, fantastic, perfect. But I think we could even go one step further and say delicate,
yeah, sure.
because each and every person wants to feel more confident when they speak English. And that, I think, is the delicate part, is to be able to correct someone, and
Yes.
that act of helping them improve while also still motivating them. So I know you only said one word, but I'm going to say delicate.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That can do it. All right. So, Kate, I've got many questions actually. Questions that I usually receive from people and from my students as well. All around the world, they ask the same questions. So I would like to start with for beginners. Most people who are now I think that intermediate students are more likely to go like in a good way in their English learning process. But beginners, they find big problems actually, especially at the beginning. How can I start as a beginner? I don't know anything in English. I'm like zero vocabulary, zero phrases. I don't know anything. Even the sounds are like weird to me. I came from a different background, linguistic background. So I can't start the right way. What is the right start? I'm speaking here about like learning independently, not learning in language centers or with private tutors or something.
Right, teaching yourself English.
Yes.
So there's a lot of really good resources that you can use if you want to teach yourself English. One of the best things that you can do is start, like, for example, there are kids programs on YouTube that help towards the vocabulary, learning colors, learning words, and then hearing those words being put into sentences. So you've got a vocabulary and then mix that with grammar. The best thing you can do is learn sentences, not cup. There we go, cup. But
yes.
This is a cup. This is a full cup. This is a heavy cup. Learning these kinds of sentences is much more helpful to you than learning cup, television, refrigerator, movie. Those don't actually help you. It's this is a movie. This is a good movie. This is a bad movie. And then constantly pushing yourself with learning sentences. So there's great resources on YouTube. And then as well, I would say not.
Do you have some specific recommendations? Do you have something that you can recommend?
Absolutely, I sure can. Okay, you can pin this. So I don't think I can pin on your page.
Yeah, I can do that. Just
super simple learning.
Yes.
On YouTube, they have fantastic stuff. They do have an Instagram page, but I don't think they have many videos there. So for example, with super simple learning, if you want to hear songs, and they're all kind of geared towards children, but they would be helpful.
Excuse me, Kate. Yeah. I think the people in the comments are saying that your voice is breaking. I don't know, breaking up.
Okay.
Can you put some earphones or something?
Sure, but it might not. I think it's not the voice, it's the hearts. Sometimes if you send too many hearts, the voice goes out. But I can do the.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can try that too. It's happened to me once or twice. It's not. It doesn't happen.
There are many hearts. People are sending many hearts.
There is, and I love it, and I appreciate that. And
Thank you.
That you guys are hearting. Hold on.
Yes.
Okay, guys, can you hear me?
Oh, I guess now it's much better.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, much better.
Okay.
For me, it's much better. I don't know about the others. Yeah.
Okay.
So go ahead. You were speaking about this super simple learning.
So super simple learning is geared towards children. It's animated songs, but this will help you learn. So then you've got vocabulary, it's hopefully interesting, and then over time as well, I would recommend singing with it. If you get used to the songs, sing with it. It helps you practice speaking. Good, I'm glad that's back. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, that's good.
Good. Super simple learning is a really good one. And then you can say, for example, super simple learning colors, super simple learning animals, super simple learning Christmas, or there's one for Halloween. So if you want to learn vocabulary about Halloween, which is coming up,
is that
super simple learning Halloween.
Is that working for a specific group, age group, or everyone can learn from that? Because some people, they say, well, I can't learn like children. I don't like to listen to these stuffs. It's, some people have like...
Yeah. So if that's not something that you like to do, but you're still very like beginner level English, then what I always tell people is to choose what you want to learn. So as an example, so I now live in Germany and I had to teach myself German. So I do actually listen to German
How are you doing so far?
Things like this.
How are you doing? How is your German now?
I'm pretty good. There's always words that are missing. There's always new expressions to learn. There's always something that someone says that confuses me. But my voice, my vocabulary, my grammar is getting better and better and better. Abdul Hakim says my voice is repeated. Can you guys hear me okay? Or
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear it pretty well. I don't know about the others.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
That's good. So, Kate, this is good, actually. So as a start, this animated, simple, super simple learning on YouTube, it can help a lot.
Yeah.
So now we've got questions also about this problem of pronunciation. Now, of course, as you know, we Arabs, we don't have like some sounds as you do in Canada. You were born and raised in an English-speaking country, so you're familiar with many sounds, not like people in the world. So some sounds like the R sound, like the R, especially the R sound, kind of difficult. Yes. So we have ta, we have ta, we have like the sound r, we have ra, kha. But some sounds are really hard to pronounce for us Arabs, also for the people in the Gulf. And I think that North African countries, Arab countries in North Africa, they don't have this problem with p. We can pronounce this sound, the p. We don't have a problem with it, fortunately. Other places, they can't pronounce p, they pronounce as b. So many problems. So how can I work on my pronunciation as a beginner? Should I worry too much about pronunciation, especially in speaking when I speak, or I should forget about pronunciation? Just...
It's a really great question. There's a couple things there. So more often than not, the reason why people are confused with letters is because that specific letter does not exist in your first language. So for example, in Korean, they don't have the letter V. So they create the closest sound to it, which to them is like bua. So they would say very instead of very.
Very, yes.
So that v that happens in your mouth does not exist in the Korean language.
Is it the same for German people?
No, with German they actually do have the v, but it's a different letter. So their their W makes the V sound, and the V makes the F sound, which is a little bit different there too. So obviously that is something that is quite confusing, right? When I lived in Kuwait, they would say there was no P in the alphabet. So all of those P's become B. The Baba is Papa and Bibsi is Pepsi.
Bark instead of bark.
Exactly. So, and this is also totally understandable. Is totally understandable. If it doesn't exist in your own language, there's nothing you can compare it to. But I think the most important thing here is to remember that all languages are different. We have some sounds that you don't have, and then the opposite. You have the kh, the KH, and we don't have that kh. So for us North Americans, that is a difficult one. So remember, they're two different languages. There's going to be some times where you think, this doesn't make sense to me. This is totally new. This is something I'm not comfortable with. But try and be comfortable with it in time anyways, right? So like the is always a hard one with English. And with this one, you just have to practice. Don't replace it with a D and say this or dis. Try the. It's hard. It pushes you out of your comfort zone, but you have to try anyway. Yes, Saber says we don't have the th or the W. Exactly. So these are, it's hard to create a sound you've never had to create before, but with language you have to sometimes. It's practice.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, of course. This drives us actually to another question, which is related, the problem of the accent. I don't know if you can clarify this point here. What is the difference, the exact difference between pronunciation and accent?
Nice. Good question.
Yeah.
Okay. So accent is just something that happens when your mouth, your tongue is trained in your first language. Sometimes, especially if you learn a language at a much later part in your life, then you will have an accent. The way that you speak is affected. For example, when I learned my first German sentence at 28 years old, I know that I have an accent when I speak German. I know this because there are certain ways when my North American tongue meets a German word and it comes out sounding strange. But that is not pronunciation. What is pronunciation, for example, is the word hoffentlich. Hoffentlich is a German word for hopefully. And it actually, this is a personal story because I was outside with a neighbor and I said something in German about hoffentlich. And she said, yeah, hoffentlich. And this is again, I said, hopefully we can do something. And she responded with the correct pronunciation. So I was putting the accent on the wrong part of the word. I was saying hoffentlich, and I should have been hoffentlich. So if you listen to the flow of the word and you try and duplicate the flow, duplicate, not duplicate, but duplicate. If you listen to where the word is stressed and you stress that part of the word too, then the pronunciation is fine.
He's good, yeah.
You're going to have an accent. It's okay. People love accents. I love hearing people with accents. It means they have better stories than me. So don't worry about having an accent. But if you hear that you're maybe stressing a word where a native English speaker is stressing a different place, repeat it and try and stress in that other place. So like I did where I went, oh, hoffentlich, hoffentlich, hoffentlich. And the next couple of times I used that word in German, I had to repeat it to get the pronunciation correct. And now I say it correctly. I don't even have to think about it anymore.
Yeah, I think that this problem of the accent or of pronunciation, some people they get shy or they get confused when they want to speak just because they feel that they're not that good. They have enough vocabulary, they have enough expressions, they can communicate, but they are worried too much, and this like stops them from speaking. What would you say to these people?
I feel you. I understand your pain. Every once in a while, someone will say to me, ha, 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 I know you're not German because of the way you speak. And in that moment, it feels like they're making fun of my accent. And then the other side of me just says, well, you know what? I'm here speaking your language out of respect for you. I would hope that if you're going to make fun of me, that, you know what, you can just go jump off a bridge, you can go jump in a cold lake, you can go take your opinion and take it elsewhere, because it's still better to try in another person's language than to not do anything because you're afraid of not being perfect.
Yes. But there's a question just from Ismail. He's asking, he says, can I improve my English language with reading out loud without understanding the meaning?
Yes. Yes, you can. I don't recommend it every single time. Don't just read, but there's absolutely, so I am convinced that there's 4 parts of learning and they're all different elements of the same language. It's like saying one is your right hand and one is your left hand, one is your right foot and one is your left foot. right? You need
Yes.
all of them working together in order to be able to move forward. You've got listening,
Yes.
reading, speaking, and writing. If you have an article in front of you and you read it out loud, you are practicing the reading, the listening, and the speaking all at the same time. So it is actually a really, really good way to practice a language that I recommend a lot.
Yeah, that's good.
Now,
Speaking
just
about
because,
practice.
but if you don't understand the words, it's also still better for you to practice out loud. If then later you get to the end of the article and you realize you need to look up one word, you look it up and you try and make sense of it, that's fine. And you don't need to understand every single word, you will still be improving.
That's good. Speaking about practice, a major problem, I guess, for everybody, especially when you live in a country where everybody speaks a different language and you have no one to speak with. So about practice, is it that important in learning languages? First of all, is it that important? Or
Practice,
we can learn without?
Absolutely. I think it depends on what you call practice, right? Like you can practice with
speaking.
other people is wonderful, but you can practice speaking on your own too. So if you practice speaking, that is reading an article out loud, that is excellent. You don't need anybody else for that. There's singing songs that you're listening to, same thing. You don't need anybody else for that. So there's ways you can practice on your own that will help towards speaking.
For conversation, to learn how to make proper conversations. Is it enough that I read out loud or I practice like singing songs or something like that?
I think
conversation.
It all helps. It helps towards the goal, which is conversation. So if you can't get a speaking partner from another country, this will still do. I think conversation is absolutely the best way to do it, but we can't always find someone, and that's the problem. But if you can find someone, absolutely, that is the best way to practice for yourself.
Yes.
Good.
That's good. Practicing, actually, when I was a student back in the university, I didn't have anyone to practice with. So I used to use a method like I go in front of a mirror and then I try to speak about anything that comes to my mind. And sometimes I just record myself and listen to myself after that. And it really helped. Yeah. It really helped. Well, I recommend this. I recommend this also for you guys. Practicing sometimes, if you don't have any partner, you can just practice with yourself. Sometimes you're walking, you're jogging, doing some exercise. You can just speak to yourself. Talk about what you will do during the day or at the end of the day. Before you sleep, just talk about what you did or write what you did. Take notes of what you did during the day. It really helps.
I hear a lot of people saying to think in English. And while I do think it helps to think in English in some respects, it is so much better to think out loud, because it really does practice your tongue muscles. You know, there are so many people who say, I read all the time, I listen to English television, I listen to English radio, but if someone talks to me, I can't respond. And the problem is all that listening doesn't help your speaking. Those are two different limbs, if you will. This is your left leg and your right arm. You have to practice speaking in order to get better at speaking.
Yeah, you can't just listen, and then you don't practice, so you will never speak, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what you were doing there, and that is why you are as awesome as you are now. All of that built up to now, and that's good for you for doing that, to pushing yourself and not saying, well, I don't have anyone, so I don't get to practice.
Yeah, because even I was majoring in English studies at the university, and even the university didn't give me that much practice that I needed.
Yeah.
The biggest work I did it on my own, so that I can speak like this, or I reach this level.
Then we shouldn't be interviewing me. We should be interviewing you.
Oh, really?
You're the one.
People who have experiences tend to like give more information about it.
Absolutely, that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, I'm teaching myself German, but I'm really lucky in the fact that I live in Germany. So while, you know, every little bit of my practice is not by myself, every time I speak German, I'm speaking to other people. But you had to fight against it. You had to get yourself to a place where you could make yourself more confident being surrounded by people who spoke your language.
Yeah,
respect.
Practice and all practice and reading and all this.
Yeah.
People are speaking about fluency. How can you define fluency? I mean, it's like actually a big term, fluency in general. You have to speak without problems, or what is fluency? How can I say that this person speak English fluently? What are the criteria?
I think there's two levels, okay? So like for one of them, I've achieved the 1 level in German fluency, and that is the ability to express myself in numerous situations. So at the office or on the bus or in a restaurant, I can express myself. I can order a pizza and then also tell someone that I can't have onions, or that I want no onions but extra sauce or whatever. I can take my opinions and my things that I need, and I can express that. So that's level 1 of being fluent. And then level 2 of being fluent, which I'm not quite there yet, is always understanding what people are saying to me. Because, for example, if I know one word of the word car, right? Even in English, we have car, and then we have automobile, and then we have vehicle, right? So there's 3 words for the word car. You learn one of them and you say, I need to wash my car, or my car has problems with the motor. This is you expressing your problem. But the problem becomes when someone else says to you, and what's wrong with your vehicle? Now you're like, I don't know that word. I don't know the word vehicle. Oh, it's just another word for car. Okay, well, now I understand. So for me, it's the 2 levels, is like being able to express myself and being able to understand when other people use new words I don't know.
Yes.
So for me, I'm quite comfortably there. I can use the same words. My vocabulary is high enough that I can express myself. But when someone else uses a word I don't know, I'm a little more confused. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be my life for the next 20 years. If I want to stay here in Germany, I have to get used to the fact that people will use words that I don't know. And it has to be okay.
Sure, it has to be okay. But to have that basic vocabulary gives you like the opportunity, will give you the chance to communicate like freely. You don't need to be that, actually. You don't need to be Shakespeare or something.
Exactly.
Right.
Mustafa Chilgari says, sometimes we listen without any benefit. I like that, Mustafa. You might be listening to the wrong thing. So what I do with my clients, when I speak with my clients, so I speak with my beginners in a different way than I speak with my advanced level learners. I believe that my clients should understand 70% of what I say. If they understand 100% of what I say, then I'm not speaking to the correct level. I need to be just a little bit above them to push them. So if you are listening to something and you haven't learned anything, find something more advanced, because you are now too big for this level. You go to the next level and that will push you. If you're listening to something without learning, it's too low for you.
Yes, of course. You need to move to the next level.
Yeah. Flip-flops, they say life is too short to learn German. 100%.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Is it difficult, German?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think
more difficult than Chinese, or
I've never learned Chinese. My dad speaks Mandarin.
They say that Chinese is the most difficult
yes,
language.
And I believe that it is, and I think it's because it's tonal. But they say that German starts really hard and then gets easier, grammar-wise, like because you have to know the der, die, das, and then diesen. Those are all the different versions of this, depending on if it's a der, a die, or a das.
Yeah.
English starts easy, it's just the, and then it gets more difficult, like I would have gone to the store if you had called me. So English starts easy and gets difficult. German starts hard and gets easier.
Yes.
I've heard.
Yeah.
So I've heard. I don't know.
That's good. That's good. So this is, I think that there is some, there is this thankful 999. He's asking for advice for university students.
Okay.
They're having, they're passing their exams next week.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say to them? Have you been to university?
I have. I studied communications. I have a bachelor's degree in communications. For your university exams, get your books back out and read them. If it is English part of your exams, or if there's going to be a spoken part of your exam, then practice speaking beforehand. If there's a written part of your exam, practice writing beforehand. You can, even without knowing what you're going to be writing about, you can practice that skill and get better at it. Yeah,
there is a question from, I think she's an English teacher, Asma. She's asking, how do I deal with talkative students?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have a mixed level class, and some students, like, they are very energetic and their English is good, so like they dominate, they speak too much, and there are other students, they can't like reach that level, so they feel low, so they can't speak.
I think for me, I haven't taught in a classroom with students in a long time, but I still also have adults, and there are some groups of 13 people, and there are absolutely men who are much more talkative than other guys, and then there's one guy in this classroom who will dominate the class. And I have tried to see it in a way that our English classes are not only me and them. It's not me having 13 different conversations. If there's one guy that's talking too much, ask someone else to agree or disagree. Ask someone what they think about that. So it's not that you now have to respond to what this person has said, but now pull another student in and say, and Matthias, what do you think about what Thomas has just said?
Yeah.
Rather than me saying, yes, you're right, Thomas. Yes, you're right, Thomas. Okay, now we're going to talk to somebody else. You don't have to kill that conversation. Just bring somebody else in.
Yes.
That's what I would do.
That's good. Yeah, that's actually awesome. One of the methods people use now around the world is watching movies. But the problem with watching movies, and there are actually some examples, many examples of students I've taught, they have learned the English language just from movies and songs and gaming and stuff like that. But the problem is that some people, they didn't find like this method or this way to learn. They didn't like, maybe their learning style is different. They didn't learn that much from movies. They didn't learn that much from music and stuff like that. So is there anything practical we can do to get over this, to get the most out of movies or songs? Something practical?
I think so. Someone said something recently, and she basically said, like, you have to stop expecting to be a native speaker when doing the bare minimum. And I think that is a really great way to see it, because a lot of people think, I'll just watch a movie, and then, you just sit there eating your popcorn and you're not really engaging or focusing on the movie, but you're just assuming that at the end of the movie, you'll be fluent. And that's not necessarily the case. If and when you're watching English shows, really try and listen to the way that they're speaking. And then if after 20 minutes it's killing your head, then turn on the movie or the show in your own language, and then you can relax. But to sit back and watch 4 hours of English TV but not really listen does you no good. Listen for 10 minutes and then turn off, and then you can lay back. 10 minutes of really good quality listening is better than 2 hours or 4 hours of not really listening.
Yeah.
right? So whatever you're doing, do it well.
The quality of listening.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah, we should seek for
Absolutely.
quality in listening. In listening, what should we choose when we want to listen? What should we choose? Like, there are plenty of materials, plenty of resources on YouTube, everywhere, TV. So what should we choose?
There's such good stuff out there. So I always say, like, think about what you want to be fluent in. So I'm an English teacher. I'm a mom here in Germany. I don't need to know German botany. That's the study of plants. I don't need to know German medicine unless I go to the hospital. I don't need to know German law. So I don't want to study those things. I don't want to read about law or medicine or botany. I want to read about everyday things that might affect me. So that means the news in German. I like cooking and I like my garden. I can read about cooking and gardening in German, and that will increase my vocabulary in those topics. So
and that will actually will also make you more interested in the.
Exactly. It's
more
beneficial for you. You want to understand it, and then you will actually use those words in real life.
You're excited about it.
Exactly. So rather than saying to myself, okay, I'm going to sit down now and I'm going to read about German medicine, well, if that doesn't do me any good and I'm never going to use it, then it's just a waste of my time. Think about what you want to be fluent in, and then read about that. Watch TV about that.
That's good. That's good. What to choose? A very common question. What to choose, American or British? I don't know how to answer this question. I get it most usual. What to choose, American or British accent?
Is it
an important question when you are a beginner? Is it important to ask this question when you are a beginner?
No. No,
it's not. Yeah, that's what I say today.
I think it comes back to your question earlier about the difference of pronunciation and accent, right? If you're focusing too much on someone's accent and you're trying to have the same accent I have because I'm Canadian and that's the best, or this British person because that's the best, then you're focusing on the wrong thing. Focus on how to put your sentences together and the rhythm of the word, and then focus on accent later, way later, when you're much more comfortable with the language. But a lot of people start out and they want to be perfect and their accent as a Canadian or something, and this is not something you have any control over. So stop focusing on that because it doesn't help you.
Yes, sure, it doesn't help. Isn't it a little bit motivating for people to go and listen to stuff in the language, in the accent they got fascinated from? I mean, like for example, I am fascinated with the British accent, so it encourages me to go and watch something in British accent. Right?
And there will, I mean, if you really do want yourself to have an accent in one or the other, that's fine. Then I actually do know there was another teacher who studied and listened to BBC every single day because he liked that accent over the other ones. That's fine and that's fair. If that's something you really want for yourself, then the American accent's good for beginners, then do that. But just remember that it's the accent and it doesn't necessarily make your English any better.
What you said earlier, American accent is better for beginners?
Maybe. Yeah, I think the British speak very quick and they use some expressions, and then they also don't always, I think maybe Canadians and North Americans are probably simpler for the beginners, but again, it doesn't help you that much that I would say start with American and then build up to British and then go to Australian. I think focusing on the accent is the wrong place to focus when you're trying to learn English.
Yeah, I never thought about this, whether to speak British or to speak American. I just try to speak the way I can do it, like the way it suits my tongue, the way it suits my mouth muscles. So some people, they just develop their own accent, and I like this actually. Just take something from the British, take the T from the British, take the R from the American, and here you go. You mix them together and you get your own accents.
Now you have your own perfect little English accent. Yeah, exactly. Yes. I mean, I can say that I would prefer to have a Bayerish accent here in Germany, or that I prefer the Hamburg accent. But again, it doesn't help me to focus on the accent. It helps me to focus on the way the sentence should be built so that I can speak confidently. I think that's way more important than focusing too much on the accent.
Yeah, but some people, they go to the extent that they get disappointed if they can't speak like a certain person in Britain, or a certain person they get disappointed. Well, I can't speak the way he speaks. Well, that's not important. You are speaking good English and you are understood. As matter as you're understood and people can understand, and your accent is clear, everybody can understand you, you can communicate, that's enough. You don't need like to go and make it hard on yourself.
Exactly.
Good. Thank you, Kate. It was very, very nice talking to you. I don't know if there's still other questions or something.
Yeah.
Or if you have some questions for me, maybe you can ask me.
So when did you start learning English?
Actually, it was, I would say, 7 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, 7 years ago, and not that much. Was it too much, or?
No, that's not that much. Your level is amazing for only 7 years.
Yeah, we actually in Morocco, in the North African countries, we don't learn English from childhood. We learn English starting from the age of like I think starting from the age of 16, 15. We learn French as a second language. So our first language is Arabic, and second is French, and English is the last thing people think about. But what surprisingly lately I've noticed my students and in the city where I live, people are being more interested in English. I think that's the case for everyone around the world now.
There's been a shift recently, for sure, where English has become that much more important.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Very cool. Ismail Tigba says, how do you know that your English is improving or not? What do you think about that?
Yeah. How do you know that your English is improving?
Yeah.
Well, you can measure yourself actually in many ways. You can put yourself in a situation where you need to communicate. Put yourself in front of a native speaker. If you can understand and answer quickly and have the right vocabulary and the right time in your mind, you're improving. If you're still struggling and stuff like that. And also, if you listen, sometimes listening is also a criterion. Sometimes when you listen, you just understand like 80%. Sometimes you understand 99%. So that's actually can give you an idea about how much you improved.
Yeah. I think as well, when it comes to another language, there's a certain amount of like you grow really quickly and then you kind of stay at that level and then all of a sudden you grow again. And I think that is kind of something you experience over time where it's just constant, but it's not like this. It's like this. Right?
Yeah.
So there will be moments where you feel like you're really not growing or you feel like you're really not improving that much, but you still are. As long as you keep practicing, it's still working towards the goal, which is more fluency. So as long as you just keep practicing weekly.
This is very important. Learning languages, if you don't practice, it goes away.
Yes.
It happened to me. I used to be good at French and speak good French. I mean, I can understand, I can speak, like communicate and everything. But once I switched to English and I became an English teacher, I stopped practicing French. And then my French now is like, you know, very, very, very bad.
Same.
Yeah. So
I have learned Japanese, I've learned Arabic, I've learned French, I've learned Korean, but when I don't use them, they disappear.
Yeah, they disappear. Yeah, for sure.
They disappear, and now the only thing that's there is the German. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can say actually the same thing for. I can say the same thing for vocabulary. People they ask me, how do we remember all the vocabulary and keep them in our minds? Because we learn vocabulary, we memorize them, or we use them in context, and after that, they're gone. We don't have them. The problem is that you don't practice, guys. So these vocabulary that you have learned, try put them in a sentence, use them, write them, put them in your notebook, anywhere, so that you can, so that they stick into your mind.
Yeah.
And language is practice. The more you practice, the better you become.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Abdul, what is the best way to learn vocabulary? Is it through reading? What do you think? Reading.
Vocabulary. I think reading is a great way to learn vocabulary, because you are not just learning words by listening. You are learning how to write them. You're learning the spelling, and sometimes you're getting like, so in reading, I think you are learning many things at the same time, not like listening. Because in listening, you don't get the chance to see like where they put where they put like the comma, where they put the full stop, how words are written, what is the spelling, the writing style. So in listening, you just focus on the idea, while in reading, you read like whole lines and you can get like more things. Yeah. I think it's a great way to learn vocabulary.
100%. Yeah.
Yes.
It is. I agree. I think that there should be a combination of reading and listening, because, for example, if you never hear this one word, let's say duplicate is the word, right? I said that earlier too. If you only ever read duplicate, then you're not going to know for sure how to pronounce it correctly. Is it duplicate or duplicate or duplicate?
Yeah.
Right, where that accent might be. So there's definitely a mix of listening and reading that can help you with that. But I would say the absolute best way to learn vocabulary is reading, and then the slight second place, the very, very close second place, is listening.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, listening is very important.
We did get quite a few questions here about vocabulary, and we do have a little bit less than 10 minutes left. So let's give some ideas on specific vocabulary concepts, okay?
Yeah, okay.
So I kind of went into this earlier. I said that if I wanted to learn about German botany, then I should be reading about plants. If you want life in current events, if you want to talk about current events, I would say one great place to read is the news. CNN, BBC, any of those big news sources. You take one article and print it out. And then I would say the first stage you could do is go through and highlight any words you don't recognize. And then look them up to try and understand the sentence that they're in. After that, if you've got 4 or 5 words there that you have not seen before, look them up and try to understand them in the sentence. And then when you understand each of those 4, read that article out loud to understand the bigger meaning, not just each sentence, not just each word, but the bigger meaning of the entire article. You're not going to understand every single word. It's okay. I don't think any English person understands every single word of every single article they read too. So don't try and understand every single word, but just try and understand the meaning. And then you'll see that your vocabulary gets better and better. And then the third stage of that is using those vocabulary words. Yeah.
One question. People, when they come across a word that is difficult for them or new for them, they ask this question: should we translate? Should we have an Arabic equivalent to that word, or we should go and look it up in an English dictionary, English dictionary?
Yeah.
Is it useful to translate words?
Only so far. I think the best way to do it is to find another word that you do know in English, and then go one step further and put the new word into a sentence that will help you in the future. For example, if we go back to our same word from before, if we go back to our same word from before as duplicate, if you don't know what duplicate means, the first instinct is to go to your dictionary, look it up, you check it, you see it in your language, and you go, oh, okay, you turn off your app, you go back to Instagram, and you're done with the day. But then next time you hear duplicate, you're still not going to know what that word means because it doesn't stay in your head when you do it this way. Hi, Karis.
Oh, really?
So instead, what you can do is go to an English dictionary and look for synonyms of the word duplicate. Duplicate means to make two of something. Okay, now I know
So
that
we
it's to
don't
make
go
two of
like
something.
we don't go directly to translate the word. We translate it. We have an Arabic an Arabic equivalent to it, and then we go back to find another word in English.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Or you try staying in English. If English is the language you're trying to learn, you stay in English and then you use the Arabic or your own first language to make sure that you're correct. But it shouldn't be the only thing you do to discover another word for that vocabulary. Okay, so let's say, again, coming back to duplicate, we say to make two of something. Okay, now I understand that that means to make two of something. I need to duplicate this picture because I have two frames or I want to give it to both of my parents, right? So now I'm using this word duplicate in a sentence so that I can understand the thought behind it. That is a much better way to use it. And then when you're actually putting it into a sentence, you are much more likely to remember it in the future. And next time you see duplicate, you won't go, what does that mean? Okay, so only use your like a dual language dictionary in order to correct or to check that you have the correct version of the answer. But try and stay in English the whole time.
Yeah, try and stay in English, because if you stay in English, you will learn not just one word, but sometimes you find, for example, the word cat. You don't know what the word cat means. So you go into the dictionary. In Arabic, you find the equivalent, so you learned like nothing. You just learned the meaning.
Right.
But if you go and look it up and find like a cat is an animal that lives in something, so you will learn like a sentence or phrase.
Yeah, yeah. Or let's say, even if it's not cat, if you hear the word feline, and then you look it up in your English dictionary and you see that feline is another word for cat, like vehicle is another word for car.
Yeah.
So feline is another word for cat, then you write feline equals cat. My mom has 2 felines.
Yes.
When I read that, as long as it's true, when I read that sentence, I know exactly what feline is.
Sure.
And then later on in life, you go feline, it's another word for cat. I don't know why English has 2 words for cat.
You'll never forget that word.
Exactly. But you have to make it something that is actually true. If it's true for you, you'll remember.
Yes, that's good. We don't have we have run out of time.
Yeah.
So any last thing you would like to say? Anything?
Thank you guys for a really, truly lovely hour. This was very nice. You've got some awesome questions here. I hope we got to everything. And good luck on your journey. Come over and join me on my page. It's english.anywhere.de_Kate. So come and check it out as well. And yeah, I look forward to chatting with you guys again.
Yeah, Kate is here. Her account is up down here. You can just click and go straight forward to her account. Go follow her, and she's got some great content. And stay tuned for more content on my page, videos and live chats with English teachers. As Kate, thank you, Kate, so much.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to seeing you next time.
Yeah,
in another live.
Really
maybe
fun.
this time when you're on your page.
Absolutely. This is really fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Have a wonderful Saturday.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
And the live is saved, guys. I will save the live, so go and check it out. Okay?